All right, so now we are finally on Survivor Series, and that occurred on November 17th, 1996. And this is in New York, right? This is in Madison Square Garden, so this is a big deal. And the crowd here, they are ready to see the show. They are amped up from the get-go all night.
As they usually are in the Garden.
Which is nice. But the first match of the night, and I don't think they have a team name for either of these, so I'll just name all the participants. We got the British Bulldog and Owen Hart, and the New Rockers versus Doug Furnas, Phil LaFawn, and the Godwins. And this match lasted 20 minutes and 41 seconds.
Hell yeah. Leif Cassidy has facial hair. He's starting to look a lot like Al Snow here.
Yes, and Leif Cassidy is actually going to have some decent matches coming up from this point. Just not the right gimmick yet. But one interesting thing about this match is Jannetty does have a legitimate injury coming into this match. I believe it was a hamstring injury. And you could tell he was hurt because he is the very first one eliminated, and it doesn't last very long. He gets eliminated by Henry Godwin, who hits the slop drop on him. And this is also the last match Mario Jannetty had until he returned on Raw many, many years ago.
Yeah, Owen Hart, at one point in the match, has a fisherman suplex, and it is beautiful. Perfect toe tip as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you say Owen Hart hit it perfectly, I mean, you expect that from him. But I'll just go through some of the eliminations here. After Mario Jannetty is eliminated, Owen Hart comes in and he hits a spinning heel kick on Henry Godwin and eliminates him.
I thought that was a good elimination.
Yeah, but shortly after Henry Godwin gets eliminated, Bulldog then hits the running power slam on Phineas, eliminating him. So the Godwins are out of here. So it's just Furnas and LaFawn here. But later on in the match, there is a botched spot where Doug Furnas was supposed to dropkick Bulldog, but somehow it got messed up.
They were doing the whole thing where you Irish whip and duck and stuff. So it looks like Bulldog, he thought he was supposed to duck again, but Furnas went for the drop kick. So he kind of like ducks the drop kick, but he gets hit by it. So he wasn't ready for it.
So miscommunication there.
Yeah.
But it looked like it was going to be a good one. Doug Furnas has some good form on his drop kicks.
Very nice drop kicks.
And then after that is when Owen Hart hit that perfect plex you mentioned. And do you think it was because Mr. Perfect was on his way out of the company at this point?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I was thinking that probably has something to do with it.
My theory is that Mr. Perfect and Owen were known for their ribs. I think this is an Owen Hart rib.
I think so. I think we're looking at one.
But then later on in the match, Phil LaFawn hits a top rope reverse suplex on Leif Cassidy and eliminates him.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty sweet.
LaFawn is also able to eliminate the British Bulldog after a pin reversal. And I was kind of surprised. I didn't think Bulldog was going to get pinned. Bulldog is a poor sport about getting pinned, and he chop blocks LaFawn, which allows Owen Hart to get the sharpshooter applied. But Doug Furnas comes in and he breaks the hold. So later on, LaFawn tags Furnas in, and Furnas is able to show off some of his impressive power. He is suplexing Owen Hart all over the place, and he eventually wins the match for his team with a release German suplex that Owen Hart flipped over for.
It looked kind of nice.
Yeah, Furnas is a strong dude. I had to look him up afterwards. I didn't know he's a power lifter and everything.
Yep. I was surprised that they pinned the tag champions.
Yeah, I was surprised as well. This was a big win for Furnas and LaFawn. They essentially, they beat the tag team champs in their debut. So you could tell WWF has some high hopes for the duo. We'll see if it works out for them. I did see online, the internet had a higher opinion of this match than I did. I gave it a 1.5 star.
If I was to rate it, I'd go like 2.5.
Maybe I'm just being harsh on it, but I thought it was long and it was boring in some spots. And it took a while, I thought, for the crowd to get into it too. So that match is over. So we'll go to our next match here. But before the match, we have a Mankind and Paul Bearer interview where Mankind tells Paul Bearer not to worry because he knows whatever form The Undertaker takes tonight, he will step on him like he does to his cockroaches, and he is going to eat The Undertaker alive. I sure hope Mankind does not eat the cockroaches.
Yeah, that would be gross.
Boogeyman might do that, though.
Boogeyman definitely would.
But the second match tonight is Mankind versus The Undertaker. And Paul Bearer kind of made me laugh when he came out with Mankind because he is coming out shaking his head violently almost, and he's shouting that he is not going to go in that cage. He is not going to do it. He then changes his mind, though, when The Undertaker comes down from the rafters in his Batwing attire. It's not Undertaker's best look.
No, not his best look.
The bat visual just didn't work for me. I know what they're going for, but nah, leave that to Batman. But we are officially done with the purple boots and gloves Undertaker. We're kind of in an all black look.
Yeah, 97 is when he gets it right.
But the match starts off kind of with a lot of mat wrestling. This is kind of a new fast-paced style for The Undertaker, which allows him to show off some of his wrestling ability, which we all finally saw that he could actually wrestle.
Thank goodness.
Yes. As these matches between Mankind and The Undertaker go, naturally, they eventually find their way to the crowd and they start brawling in the crowd. Mankind charges at The Undertaker, but The Undertaker flips Mankind over the barricade and it sends him crashing. I think Mankind's skull cracked on that concrete floor. There's some solid contact.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So The Undertaker gets Mankind back in the ring and eventually he goes for the choke slam, but Mankind is able to get the mandible claw on The Undertaker. Which I gotta say, the mandible claw might be one of the best reversals you could have for the chokeslam. It's just right there for the taking.
Yeah, right there.
But Undertaker's able to get out of the mandible claw by grabbing Mankind by the throat, and he's able to get up and hit a falling chokeslam. We don't get a lot of falling chokeslams too much at this point, so it's nice to see. But that doesn't finish Mankind off because he's later able to hit his beautiful pile driver on The Undertaker. And then he takes out his foreign object and he hits The Undertaker with it. And somehow Mike Chioda missed it. Maybe since this is a shark cage match, there's no DQ.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mankind hits The Undertaker a few more times with it and he starts digging the weapon into Undertaker's head. But The Undertaker has enough of it and he wakes up and gets Mankind in the tombstone for the win. So after the match, the shark cage lowers, but before The Undertaker can get his hands on Paul Bearer, the Executioner comes out to spoil the fun, and he attacks The Undertaker, allowing Paul Bearer to get away. The Undertaker then clotheslines the Executioner out of the ring, who then scurries away with Paul Bearer. I was very disappointed. The payoff for that was awful. I will agree it did feel too soon for Undertaker to get his revenge on Paul Bearer, but you could have done it better than that.
Squeeze a little bit more juice out of the rivalry.
Mm-hmm. Usually at this point, when a feud's gone on this long and they've had this many matches, the matches get worse as they go. I wouldn't say this is the best one, but I do think it was better than the Boiler Room Brawl. So I thought this was a pretty solid match.
I gave it 2.5.
I gave it a 2.75. What did Dave give it?
2 1/4.
You're in the middle, so you're probably right. But yeah, very effective match there. So the next match we have is Crush, Jerry the King Lawler, Triple H, and Goldust versus Mark Merrow, The Stalker, Rocky Maivia, and Jake the Snake Roberts. So not the most exciting matchup here, I would say. And it is notable that when Triple H comes out, he does not come out with Mr. Perfect, so it looks like that association done for. Because Mr. Perfect is waiting out his contract so he can go to WCW.
He's out of here.
And then Sunny's here on commentary, and she gives us a storyline reasoning for this, at least the way that WWF's trying to present. They said that Triple H left Mr. Perfect because he was tired of Mr. Perfect taking all the credit for their success. So at least they tried. Sunny also sees Mr. Rocky Maivia making his debut, and she tells us that she is interested in Rocky Maivia, and we need you, Sunny, to stay far away from that man. And then another note on this match was that Jake the Snake wasn't originally in the match. It was supposed to be Mark Henry, but Mark Henry broke his leg during training, and so Jake replaced him. But during this match, at one point, Jake the Snake and Jerry King Lawler get in the match at the same time. And at first, King gets the upper hand, and he once again mocks Jake's drinking. But Jake has had enough of this, and he soon hits the DDT on King and eliminates him. And I think this is the end of this feud between them. But after Jake eliminates Jerry King Lawler, Goldust eliminates the Stalker with the curtain call. And then later on, we do a spot that Triple H seemed to love to do, is when Merrow gets Triple H in a pinning maneuver, but Triple H takes forever to fall down. You know how he does that?
He does. He likes that spot.
He loves doing that. But eventually, Merrow does eliminate Triple H with his top rope moonsault.
I liked it.
Yep, so Triple H is out of here. And then the WWF tries to push Crush a little bit in this match. And they have him eliminate both Mark Merrow and Jake Roberts with the Heart Punch.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting that Crush, of all people, got 2 eliminations back to back like that.
Yeah, and when Crush got in the match, I think the match slowed down. This was definitely when it got kind of boring. But now, at this point in the match, it is just Rocky Maivia against Crush and Goldust. And we actually do have a Rocky chant that breaks out. So Rocky Maivia had some respect from the fans at first.
It goes away very quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't last too long. But shortly after, they'd start double teaming Rocky Maivia. So Goldust is holding Rocky Maivia so that Crush can deliver the final blow with another heart punch. But Rocky is able to get out of the way and Crush hits Goldust. And then Rocky Maivia hits a crossbody on Crush, eliminating him. And then he shortly after eliminates Goldust with a shoulder breaker.
He also hits a certified scoop on Crush.
Not a bad one from the rookie, huh?
Yep.
So Rocky Maivia gets the big win. That's the second debut tonight that wins the match. So W's clearly trying to push some new faces here.
Finally adding more talent.
Yes.
After the very limited early 96 offering.
Yeah, the roster was very thin. But this match had some fun eliminations, and it was a good way to debut Rocky Maivia here. But I gave that match a 2 1/4.
I gave it a 2. Let's see. He also gave it a 2, so we're right, you're wrong.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's close enough. We pretty much see it the same. Oh, by the way, that match was 23 minutes and 44 seconds. And I don't know if I mentioned it for Undertaker's match, so if I didn't, I'll just say it here. 14 minutes, 54 seconds.
God, we got some long matches.
Some good ones, too. But after that, we do go to a Stone Cold pre-match interview where he tells Bret Hart,
Bret, cliches are cliches, and an ass whipping is an ass whipping, and that's exactly what you're going to get.
This was some good shit from Stone Cold right before the match.
Talking that shit.
Yep, I like this one. And then we have an interview with Bret Hart, too, before the match. Hart says he meant it when he says, this is holy ground. And he says his fans have been waiting for this moment. And he tells Stone Cold that he is not greedy for money. He is greedy for respect. And after this match, Stone Cold will respect him. That's pretty good from him, too. I would say Stone Cold won the round, but not bad.
I like both of their promos.
Yeah, I agree. No, that was very good. So, of course, that means the next match is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart. And this is a number one contenders match, too. But this match here, they give it time. This match is 28 minutes and 36 seconds. So we are definitely not going blow by blow on this one. But some things I like during the match. To start off, Stone Cold, of course, gives Bret Hart the 2-finger salute. And then we get a lot of good chain wrestling in the beginning. Very smooth. Later, Austin is able to hit the stun gun, and then he continues his assault, and he slingshots Bret onto the announce table. JR on commentary at that point says, this is what usually happens to the Spanish guys.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he's the GOAT for a reason. But during the match, Stone Cold, of course, he keeps trying to win the match. He keeps getting 2 counts, so he gets tired of Tim White's slow counting, he feels, and he flips him the double bird. He's none too pleased.
I mean, Tim White should be lucky he's not stunned right now.
Exactly. But the spot you mentioned with the superplex, what I liked about it was that at first he was going for a mid-rope superplex, but then he says, F that, I'm going for a top rope superplex. And so he hits the top rope superplex. The crowd seemed to love the attitude from Austin. This is New York. They love that stuff. And then shortly after that, that's when he hits the stunner on Bret. Bret kicked out at 2, so Austin is pissed off. Austin then applies the $1 Million Dream on Bret, but Bret is able to kick and flip himself off of the turnbuckle, and he rolls over Austin and gets the pin.
Yeah, pretty iconic finish. There's so many matches now that do callbacks to that.
Yeah, I think this also happened during the Piper match, right?
Yeah.
So this is the second time he probably has done this, but it was a great finish. It made a lot of sense, and I don't think Austin losing that way took anything away from him.
The look on Austin's face after the match, like he just looks like insane.
Mm-hmm. But I thought this was a fantastic match here. It could be slow at times for some people, but I thought they told a great story throughout the match, and they had the crowd in the palm of their hands and had some great false finishes. I think is a technical masterpiece.
Yeah, I gave it the old 5-star treatment.
I didn't quite give it 5. I gave it 4 3/4.
Dave gave it 4.5.
Okay, so we all liked it. But yeah, I think this one is kind of an underrated match, probably just because their next one is considered one of the greatest matches of all time. But these two almost have 2 5-star, depending on some people's views, 2 5-star matches in a row. That's hard to do. So, fantastic match. If you've never seen that match, take your time to watch that. That is a great match. We don't hand out a lot of 5-star matches around here, so when we do, we mean it. So, after that match, we move on to a pre-match interview with Sycho Sid. Sid says he would do anything and everything it takes to win and walk out the WWF champion. And I thought it was short, but I thought Sid did well here as well. But that match is not next. We got one more match before that, and it is Farouk. So Farouk comes out with his Nation and Domination members. He is teaming up with Fake Razor and Fake Diesel and Vader versus Yokozuna, Flash Funk, Savio Vega, and surprise entrant Jimmy Snuka. When they announced the surprise entrant and Jimmy Snuka came out, I was a little disappointed.
As you know, me, Jimmy Snuka hater, I was not happy.
No, but not even taking the outside of the wrestling stuff into it. I just never been a huge Snuka guy, so I was like,
He was big in the Garden, so that's why that's why they brought him back at the Rumble too.
Well, that makes sense, I guess. I didn't think about that. But when Farouk comes out, he finally comes out to the Nation of Domination entrance with the rap intro with PG-13, and I was like, it's about damn time. And I was also surprised to see Yokozuna, because he hasn't been around and we haven't really heard anything about him. And again, this is Flash Funk's debut match, so he comes out with the Funkettes. And this is a not quite as bad version of the Funkasaurus Brodus Clay. So if you know that, you kind of know what this gimmick is. So we'll go to the match portion of this, and we do see Flash Funk hit a beauty of a moonsault to the outside on Vader. Vader doesn't stay down long. He takes control of the match, and while Vader is beating up on Flash Funk, Yokozuna randomly comes in and he kicks Vader's ass, and the ref is just okay with it.
I know, right? That's weird.
I guess, what's the ref going to do? How's he going to stop him? Yokozuna clearly is not over the leg injury Vader gave him.
No, not at all.
No. He's feeling some type of way about it. And Vince, on commentary, even mentions Yokozuna's weight, and he says it's probably the biggest he's ever been. I think Vince was kind of tired of it at this point.
Yeah, but it's like, why put him on TV if you're not happy about it?
Yep. So we had that. But then later on, Snuka is able to, surprisingly, scoop slam Vader, and that got a good response from the crowd. I wasn't too happy with that spot. I know why they did it, but Vader shouldn't be getting tossed around like this.
Vader was too forgiving. It's like, you're showing Vader as this big, huge threat. Maybe don't scoop slam him so easily.
Mm-hmm. But we'll get to some of the eliminations here. Savio Vega is eliminated after Fake Diesel hit the jackknife on him, and Jimmy Snuka eliminates Fake Razor with the Superfly Splash. And then Diesel comes into the ring and smacks Snuka in the back. And then Savio Vega comes back in the ring with a chair. And then chaos ensues, and the match is ruled a double disqualification, and it just kind of ends.
It's like, why the fuck does this match need a no contest?
Was everyone refusing to be pinned in this match?
No one wanted to do the job? I would have just had Vader eliminate every single motherfucker on the other team.
Yeah?
Well, maybe Farouk, get the Nation over.
I agree. Farouk doing that would have been a good move. So yeah, this was just a waste of time. A lame ending. There were some decent moments in the match, but this was okay at best. I gave it a 2.
Got a 1. Dave also gave it a 1.
Okay, I was clearly in a good mood. But yeah, bit of a lame finish. But now we are on to the main event, and we get a pre-match video package for this event. And most of the pay-per-view video packages at this time are not at the level they are now. But this one was pretty good. So we're on to the main event, and it is Sycho Sid versus Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario, and this is for the WWF title. When Sycho Sid comes out, he gets a monster ovation, and it is very clear that the majority of the fans here are rooting for Sid to win the championship.
I'm with them.
Oh, yeah. So the match goes on here for a little bit. But at one point during the match, Shawn gets tired of all the cheering for Sycho Sid. So he starts talking some shit to people in the crowd. I think he was actually upset.
No, I know he was actually upset.
Yep, he thought he was the cool guy in town. The crowd continues to go against the WWF champion here, and every time Shawn Michaels works Sid's leg, the crowd boos him. So they don't like the slow pace. They want to see some action here. But Shawn is able to continue dominating the match, and later on we see Sid send Shawn crashing to the mat, and this is where the famous meme, I don't know if you've seen it online, where Shawn Michaels appears to be standing on his head when he's on the outside of the ring. This match is where that meme came from. But soon after that, Shawn Michaels goes for the sweet chin music, but Sid reverses it into a choke slam, and then he signals for the powerbomb, and the crowd is about to blow the roof out. They are erupting at this point. So Sid goes for the powerbomb, but he takes his sweet old time setting it up, and Shawn reverses it to a pin for a 2 count. Shawn kips up and immediately eats a clothesline, much to the crowd's delight.
I love that spot. He immediately eats that clothesline. That was great.
Yep, it was a good moment here. So Sid grabs a TV camera, and it appears that he is about to hit Shawn with it, but Sid changes his mind and he hits Jose Lothario with it instead. So Shawn is able to quickly after that hit the sweet chin music on Sid, but he doesn't cover him because he goes to check on Jose Lothario, his teacher. So he wants to check on his old buddy here, and he motions for people in the back to come help Jose. So eventually people do, but while this is going on, Sid gets up and he grabs Shawn from behind and he brings Shawn back into the ring, and Shawn tries to go for a splash, but Sid gets out of the way and Shawn splashes the ref. But Shawn doesn't take advantage of the ref being down because he goes back to check on Jose once again because he's such a good guy. But this time Sid gets up and he hits Shawn in the back with the TV camera. Then he brings him back into the ring and he hits the powerbomb for the win, and the crowd finally erupts once again. Minus one girl in the front row. There's clearly one girl in the front row. You can see her clear as day. She is very upset when Sid wins. She kind of like deflates. It's kind of funny to see. It's kind of funny to see.
She is deflated because she's standing next to that fan that has that documentary about them.
Yep. The famous fan is there too. I forget his name. It's Vlad or something like that. But the crowd is hyped for Sid winning this. And I think this was a good call. It was time for Shawn to lose that title.
I'd agree.
Shawn was losing some fan appeal at this point. They didn't like this babyface Shawn that was cookie cutter. They kind of liked this Shawn with some edge to him. And for most of this year, he's had no edge. But I enjoyed this match a lot. And at this point, I mean, Sid had to win. He was so over at this point that you just had to do it. So it was a good call to change it. Because remember, they pivoted to this because this was earmarked for Vader. And I wouldn't change it back to Vader. I would keep it this. Probably Sycho Sid's best match, or definitely one of his best matches ever. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it a 3 3/4.
I got a 4. Dave also gave it 3 3/4.
But that is the end of Survivor Series. We have a new WWF champion. And I think overall, this was a pretty good Survivor Series. Most of the matches were pretty good. The Survivor Series matches didn't really have any stakes to them, so that's kind of disappointing. But they weren't bad.
What carried it was all the non-Survivor Series matches, really.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Stone Cold and Bret Hart and Sid, Shawn being excellent matches, that helps. Oh, then also Mankind Undertaker was pretty good. But right now, WWF's pay-per-view game is pretty good. They're on a 2-good pay-per-view streak for me. And so you can tell they are starting to go to the right direction. They got some work to do still, but they're definitely much better than they were just a few months ago.
Yeah, we're building some momentum here.
Yeah, we got 4 wrestlers in particular that are hot right now, and they're Sycho Sid, Stone Cold, Bret Hart, and The Undertaker. And then you even have Shawn Michaels, who is kind of cooling off, but he's still over. So the top of the WWF is looking really good right now. And we also had the debut of the new Undertaker character, if you want to call it that, and the debut of The Rock. So very important show here. I gave the show overall 8 1/4 out of 10.
Give it a 7.5.
Dude, I think you're too low.
I mean, 7.5 is really, to me, that's really good.
I agree. But I think this deserves an 8. And 8 means I like that show a lot.
I mean, this is one I definitely rewatch.
Yeah, for sure. But that's it for Survivor Series. Great show. Check it out if you haven't seen it.